Hi, it's Amy from prettypurpledoor.com, and today I just wanted to go over the Garden Planner Worksheets and basically give you an overview of how I plan my garden and how you can use these sheets to make little garden rooms within your landscape. So this is my favorite sheet, and it's the most versatile of the bunch. Up at the top, you have the ability to add the location of the garden. Like I said, I like to plan rooms or areas within my garden, so it's always useful to have a location spot, and then you can write down what the concept of your garden is and what seasons that there's the most interest in your garden. And here there's just a little check boxes for the sun levels, and this is where you would add all of your plant listings. So here I have a reference number and a quantity, so how many plants you would need, the name, what type of plant it is, what color it is in each season, and then an area for notes. And down at the bottom, there's a sketch area, and I like this area a lot because it gives me a lot of room. I could do, kind of an overhead one and a real sketch to see what it's going to look like. I actually filled one of these out, so I want to kind of show you how I use it. And here's an example of something that I did fairly quickly. I'm looking to do a landscape in the back right corner of my yard, and it's basically, I'm calling it the kitchen window view garden, because when I look out my kitchen window in the winter, I want to be able to see something that has a little bit of life and interest, and that back right corner of my yard is basically what I'm staring at when I'm doing dishes and things like that. So I've been trying to come up with different ideas. Here you can see the reference number. Here I have the quantity, and these columns here are useful. You could see once it's filled out that you can tell that, oh, I didn't include any vines or ground covers, and there's a little key down here in case you forget what the symbols mean. But this can kind of give you a good idea of if you're missing something that you didn't really think of in the beginning that you can add. And I think it just adds another layer to your garden that you might have missed if you didn't have it laid out like this. And here you can see the colors, and I like to go down each column and just make sure that they all will go together. They're not going to clash. And specifically in winter, since this is a winter garden, I'm interested in this column just to see what colors I have going on. And I just have some random notes over here. You can use this for anything you'd like. If you use the sketch area at the bottom, this is kind of an overhead sketch. So you've probably seen these before online or in gardening books, and this is really helpful just to like place everything. And this is my big tree in the center, obviously, and I'm just sort of marking the other elements. And I like to draw, so I did kind of a front view. So if I was looking out my window, I would see this tree, and I really liked the idea of the white birch being in front of these red twigs, so that adds a lot of interest, especially in the winter when there's really nothing blooming or nothing colorful. This red twig dogwood is really going to stand out. If you're not much of a drawer or sketcher, you don't have to go that route. There's actually another sheet right here, and it's the same exact sheet except it's got more lines because I eliminated the sketch area from it. And there's yet another sheet, and again it's the same exact sheet, I just left more space for each element in case you want to write a longer name or you have more notes. It's just less crowded. So you don't have to use the sketch sheets, or you could do the sketches separately, and that's what the last two sheets are for. So here's my original plan here, and what you can see I did here, I basically just transferred the plant names 1 through 6 onto this reference sheet. So if you wanted to do your drawing in a bigger sketch, that's also a possibility or an option, I guess. And I like to do this too. I think it's nicer to have some more area. You can also do a couple different ones, and the last sheet I'm going to show you is kind of an example of that. So this is really just a sketch sheet, so you can attach this to any of the other sheets that you're using, but what I like to do when I'm just coming up with ideas is sketch a lot of different ideas for that corner. So you could see this is the back right corner. I just drew it 6 times, and I did all sorts of layouts to kind of decide what I really wanted to do. There was all different options, and this is the one that I ended up kind of going further with and fleshing out a little bit in the other plans. So I like to use this sheet to get a bunch of different ideas down. And the great thing about this is that even if I added these later, the labels, but if you don't know exactly what plant you want or need, you can just kind of color things in and mark down exactly what color you're thinking of, and then go research some plant options that are in that color in the winter. And that's going to be a really great start for your project, even if you don't have any idea what plants you want to use quite yet. So that's it. That's it for my garden planner worksheets, and I hope this is helpful, and I hope you can see yourself using these. I just put some hole punches in the top, and I shove them into a binder, and then I know exactly what plants I'm using in each area of my garden. It just gives me a nice list and a nice visual representation of it. And I think it's super helpful to keep you organized and to keep you creative as you're planning your garden. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.